Dreambees, and welcome back to a new Ayurveda Philosophy video. So, continuing with our lessons in Ayurveda, let's talk about the three doshas. This is something that we see very often. We're always seeing these three big words, our Vata, our Pitta, and our Kapha. Now, while these words can be overused, let's just dive deep into where it comes from and what it is trying to represent. So, our three doshas are ways that we can understand the composition of elements in our body. So if we know that everything in the universe is made up of the 5 elements, we know that we're going to have these elements inside of us. And we're all so different, so we're each going to have a composition that is a little bit different. Some people might have a little bit more earth. Some people might have a little bit more air. So the way those elements make up our bodies is going to affect us physically, mentally, and energetically. Now, these 3 doshas represent our prakriti. Our prakriti being that natural composition. So let's differentiate these 3, starting with Vata. Vata is a combination of ether, which is space, and air. So when you combined ether and air, what exactly is it going to look like physically and mentally? So the strengths of air and the strengths of space mean that you are going to have a lighter composition. You have a lot of movement with air. You have the ability to change things, to constantly be shifting. It is very fluid. It is not something that gets easily attached. It is something that is constantly evolving. So the strengths of those 2 elements include creativity, expression, growth, fluidity, the ability to move. So you may see that in people that you know. Normally they will have a slender figure and they have a mind that is very flighty. So it can be those people that are also very fast-paced because they're constantly moving. Maybe they talk really, really quickly. It can be those people that have a hard time sticking to one thought. They're constantly moving on to the next thought. It can be those people that get often anxious because their nervous system is very intense and it is constantly moving. It can also be those people that have a hard time being still and being calm. So when Vata is out of balance, we will have a hard time being patient, making sure that the nervous system is calm, that we're not just jumping from one thing to the next. Sometimes that can make people a little bit introverted. So we can really see these qualities affecting the mind, where they're going so fast that maybe it is becoming a little bit too quick, a little bit too hyper. And sometimes that can be hard to make decisions. Let's go into Pitta. Our Pitta composition is fire and water. These are 2 very strong elements. Fire can be considered power, light, and destruction, whereas water can be considered fluid motion. But water can also be powerful and destructive as well. So these 2 elements, even though water and fire kind of do balance themselves out in theory, when combined, that can create a lot of passion and a lot of intensity. A lot of Pitta characteristics tend to be very intense. It can be intense in the way that they speak, an intensity in their eyes. It can even be an intensity in their facial structure, something that is very sharp. In the mind, that can also lead to a little bit of anger, to having a lack of control over the emotions, so it can become very explosive and very big. When in balance, we're seeing that light and water as a force of nature. It can be those powerful leader figures, the people that inspire you because they are confident and loud. But when it is out of that balance, we're starting to see that they can be maybe too intense and unkind, maybe judgmental, maybe too angry. So it is very important with Pitta to find that sense of balance, using that light and power in a sattvic way. So using it mindfully. Pitta also represents the fire of digestion, because fire is able to transform things. It is able to transform food, transform thought and ideas into action. So we can see that Pitta composition as being very action-oriented, maybe a go-getter, someone that likes to be very productive. And with that digestive fire, that Pitta can have a very strong digestion, or that fire can be a little bit too hot. So we will see that play out in the belly as well. Let's go into our Kapha. Kapha is the composition of earth and water. Now, these are two beautiful elements that create life, that are necessary for life. Earth is that stability, that physical composition, and we will see that in the physical composition of Kapha. People that have a strong structure, maybe broad shoulders, a lot of earth and weight in their stance. That sense of water also makes them very fluid and caring with their thoughts, with their words. Earth and water represent a lot of love. It can represent generosity, giving and caring. So these are very beautiful qualities. When they are in balance, we're going to see such a soft nature. But when they are out of balance, maybe that sense of earth is a little bit too heavy. And when we are heavy, that can be a little bit too slow. So making sure that Kapha has a rhythm to keep on moving and to not get in their own way. To not be so grounded in the earth that it prevents them from taking action and moving forward with their plans and ideas. We don't want to get lethargic. We want to still stay strong, but be able to move. And with that water element, that can also create a lot of water in the body and a lot of water in the mind. So if we're getting slow thoughts, it is important for that water to keep things moving. We don't want that earth quality to take over. We really have to find that sense of balance so that way we can share that love that we have with the world. So these concepts may be new to you. Try to reflect on what these elements mean to you. Do you connect with anything in your own body? Do you feel you have a lot of fire? Do you feel that you get stuck sometimes and maybe you have too much earth? And when I say too much, it's never your body has too much. It's just that that element intensity is taking over because it is slightly out of balance. And then we just have to be mindful and bring it back into balance. So this is all very important because it gets you to know your deepest self. It gets you to stay connected to your physical and mental nature, and then you can express that through your energetic nature. That energy that you give off, you want it to be in balance, so that way your qualities are of service to the world and are able to help each other. So I hope that you learned something new. I hope that the doshas speak to you. You can always use these words as inspiration, but don't get too attached to them. If you want to discover your dosha, the best is to do it with an Ayurveda specialist, so that way they can explain what they are really getting from your composition. Sometimes we may take the words and we may try to diagnose ourselves, but it is so much more important to go beyond the words and to actually connect to ourselves on a deeper level. So please feel free to comment down below if you enjoyed this topic, if there's other topics that you want us to get into on this channel. I am loving talking about Ayurveda. I myself am an Ayurveda yoga specialist, so I cannot wait to share more with you guys. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Have a great day.